So I'm excited to be bringing up Dr. Martin Gershon. He is the managing partner at Endeavor Life Science Funds. How's it going?
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm very excited about being here. It's a gorgeous fall day. Perfect time to talk about healthcare and big tech.
Absolutely. Where are you calling in from?
I am in Hudson Yards in New York City.
Amazing. It's probably a little bit colder than Dallas, Texas. So,
It is.
but I think, I know that you'll be talking today about big tech companies investing billions into healthcare AI, discovery, and health and wellness. So the floor is yours, Dr. Martin. If you want to leave 5 or 10 minutes at the end for a Q&A, if not more, it's up to you. But yeah, we have a hard stop at 12:25.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the invitation, and it's a great opportunity to speak amongst some really great panelists. I'm excited about talking to you about health and wellness, which has been a part of my life for more than 30 years. The focus of this conversation really is about the new leaders in the health and life science space. Up till now, it's really been a market driven by large pharma, biotech, and med tech companies and service companies. But the game is changed, and it's really just the beginning. So let me talk to you about the 4 biggest healthcare companies, also known as Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, as they plunge into what I consider a 20-year secular growth market strategy to take over a $14 trillion healthcare industry globally, $4.4 trillion here in the United States. First, let me start by telling you just a little bit about myself so you have an understanding about my perspective. So I do have a varied background. I am an oncologist, an immunologist, and a neuroscientist. And before that, I was a Food and Drug Administration attorney, focusing in on clinical studies, pricing, and reimbursement. I'm also a Google Scholar in healthcare economics. I teach at Harvard and MIT and lecture in the health science and technology programs. I also do some advisory work for the Harvard Innovation Labs as an advisor in their entrepreneurship program. And I do provide consulting services for innovation and commercialization strategies for Fortune 500 companies, as well as buy and sell side firms like Goldman Sachs and BlackRock and Tiger Global. So this is by way of letting you know that I look at things from a non-traditional perspective, and I try to look at things in a strategic way for several years out. Today, we're going to really be defining a new trend in healthcare and life sciences, where tech giants drive a secular bull cycle in healthcare and life sciences, principally because they have an incredibly fast-moving investment machine. They are leveraging their core competencies. They have tremendously deep pockets, and they have a long-term commitment in which they've already put $100 billion into play. And that is really just the start of a multi-decade-long drive into the health life science space. Tech giants are investing in 4 areas that I want to make you aware of: AI and machine learning and big data, wearable sensors and at-home diagnostics, drug discovery, and digital health. But why is big tech money flowing into these 4 hot areas of healthcare? Here is the bull case. It rests on 2 fundamental principles. I've been in academics and science and medicine for several decades. Number 1, I have never seen such incredible advances in scientific and medical innovations. That is coinciding with incredible business fundamentals, which are taking advantage of both macroeconomics and the core competencies of big tech. First, let's very briefly take a look at some of the macroeconomic aspects and look at the business side of this equation. We're clearly either in a recession or going into a recession, but that's not really the main issue. The main issue is liquidity. Liquidity tends to run in 10-year cycles, and we've just begun a liquidity crisis. So when liquidity gets pulled out of the markets, we need to readjust valuations, and we need to readjust sectors. And in this market, healthcare will outperform. I've done a deep dive, and according to my research, which is backed by McKinsey, in this transition, we can expect 5 to 10 times greater liquidity going into healthcare and life sciences than any other sector. As part of this business process, commercialization and the development of drugs, devices, and services is faster and less expensive than it's ever been because of friendly regulatory backdrops. We also have incredible pricing power with new therapies like gene therapy, which price out at just under $3 million per patient. And we have a growing market size, both in traditional and non-traditional demographics. In traditional, the population is aging, there's greater access to healthcare, but in non-traditional, there's a change in mindset, which is opening up new health and wellness programs that many of the core tech companies are going to take advantage of. Let's take a look at the 800-pound gorilla, Apple. They are focusing in on one of their core competencies, which is wearable sensors and digital health. They're looking at personalized home healthcare, health and wellness, online fitness, home diagnostics, and integrated hospital monitoring in all of this ecosystem. They have a multi-decade-long plan, which is fairly complex and robust, which includes acquisitions, investments, and partnerships. And according to the CEO, Tim Cook, he believes that healthcare could be Apple's greatest legacy. Morgan Stanley sees Apple's healthcare sales at $313 billion by 2027. Apple is really creating an ecosystem, and even though this is a word that's used quite frequently, in this case, it really holds water. They're looking at several different integrative aspects. First, at home, they're looking at home wearable sensors and home diagnostics. Second, they're looking at fitness and personal training, and then they're integrating all this seamlessly with hospital patient monitoring. What does this mean? It means that the iPhone, the iWatch, and other wearable sensors are going to be a part of our everyday life. We're going to wake up in the morning, we're going to get a cup of coffee, we're going to pull out our iPhone, we're going to swipe left, heart looks good, kidneys look good. Uh-oh, it looks like an AI machine learning program at 3:33 in the morning kicked in. I need some more insulin, I need an adjusted dose. Before I even read the paper, that insulin is sitting at my doorstep. That's what we can expect from these changes in health and wellness. So far as Apple, in terms of the personalized at-home healthcare, they're going to be looking at issues with wearable sensors that focus on both health issues, health and wellness issues, and illness issues. For example, they're looking at mobility and fall risk. They're also looking at activity and productivity and performance. They're looking at medications, and they're even going into research. Apple will also focus in on the changing health and wellness world by changing mindsets. They believe that this will empower people. There will be significant education programs and mindfulness workshops. Apple will dominate the at-home online video business. They've already engaged some of the world's best online cyclists. They're integrating many of these programs in a hybrid model, and you can expect them to take over that space, partnering with companies like SoulCycle. They also are looking at the integration of core medical services and changing, most importantly, the point of care. I can't emphasize this strongly enough. The cost of healthcare is not sustainable. Most of that cost is because it's hospital or office-based. By shifting the point of care from hospital and office to home, billions will be saved. We can expect over the next several years, according to a McKinsey report, that $265 billion of healthcare services will shift from traditional hospital and office facilities to the home. And Apple is going to capture a lot of that. Let's take a look at some of the things that Apple is already involved with. First, it sounds like science fiction, but it's not. Vocal biomarkers able to detect COVID-19 by simply talking into your iPhone. They're working with a company called Sanofi, and we can expect some great things over the next 24 months from that collaboration. They're working with a company called Cordio. Again, a voice biomarker where you talk into your iOS system and it evaluates your congestive heart failure in real time, giving AI machine learning power to the patient and the physician simultaneously with a focus on improving outcomes and avoiding hospitalizations. They're also looking at-home infectious disease diagnostics. If there's one thing that we've all learned from COVID, we're all fragile. We're all susceptible. I don't know how many times I've been tested for COVID, but it sure would have been nice if I can do all of this, not just with a swab test, which is an antigen test, but with a PCR test with high degree of specificity and high degree of sensitivity. And 3EO is working with Apple towards that end with a plug-and-play model for their iOS system. They're also looking at skin cancer, another chronic treatable disease, and they're working with Skin Vision, which shows a 95% cancer detection rate. And to put this into perspective, if you go to your average physician, they have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. If you go to your dermatologist, depending on the quality of the experience, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80%. So a huge increase in cancer detection for a treatable disease. Let's now shift to really the biggest player in the space, Google. Obviously, their core competence is AI and big data, and they're focusing that core competence on drug discovery. And they're looking specifically in that vertical at precision medicine, 3D printing, regenerative medicine, organ-on-chip technology, and CRISPR technology. And we're going to take a look at all of those. First, once again, Google, like Apple, has a 10-year plan, fairly complex in investment and partnerships, and being rolled out. They have 250 investments that they've made in early stage companies. These are some of them. Many of them are now unicorns. And over 50% of the Google Ventures team is now healthcare focused, and that is growing. One of the core acquisitions and investments that Google made is a company called Verily. They're using AI and big data to look at precision medicine. What is precision medicine? It's the ability to take data, analyze it for an individual, and come up with a bespoke model that looks at a number of different things. Diagnosis, treatment algorithms, the ability to use drugs in off-purpose use. It gives us a tremendous opportunity as physicians to have an incredible advisor by our side that can think instantaneously and give us choices that we might not have seen as we're interviewing and examining the patient. What does this mean? It means companies like Onduo, working with Verily, are going to improve the diabetic patient community. Specifically, type 2 diabetes is a core focus of Verily and Google. And they believe that by using their AI machine learning services and the app, personalizing healthcare, they can decrease hospitalizations and improve outcomes. And that's what this is all about. Real world problems, real world solutions at a much greater speed than in years past when large pharma, biotech, and medtech companies were really the sole acquirers of these companies. Let's take a look at some of the statistics. Year to date, Google has spent $1.9 billion on big data, AI, deep learning, imaging, and diagnostic companies. And the reason is very simple. The growth rate right now, according to our research at Endeavor, is an annualized rate of 3.1% on the S&P, where healthcare is growing at 38.4%. A lot of the focus that Google currently is paying attention to is cancer diagnosis as well as diabetes. Let's take a look at some of those specific cases. First, colonoscopy, a very treatable diagnostic that goes towards a very treatable disease, colon cancer. Internally, C2D2 was developed as a technology by Google itself with real-time 3D reconstruction that has an incredible 93% detection rate, which is vastly superior than any standard that has existed in the colonoscopy endoscopy world. To the point where a physician who doesn't really need to alter the way that they use the product doesn't have to even visualize the polyp. The AI machine learning algorithms calculate probabilities without even seeing the polyp. So something that is not visible by the physician, which they normally would just ignore, now is picked up and removed. They're also really looking at how big data and AI can work into research. And they're looking into ways to feed this large amount of data into clinical trials. And they're picking diseases that are very prevalent, like skin cancer. And we can expect tremendous advances in terms of outcome improvement in the area of skin cancer. Google is also a very strong investor in groundbreaking drug discovery technologies like 3D printing, organs on chip, regenerative medicine, and CRISPR technologies. Let's take a look at 3D printing. It's really, it's like science fiction. We are printing now human tissues. Boston University has just printed the first miniature working heart. And when I say working heart, I mean vessels, nerves, chambers, valves. It is a fully functioning heart. There is an incredible collaboration in the Boston community, particularly out of Harvard and Boston University, that is going to drive this sector of healthcare incredibly hard. What does this mean? It means that we can test drugs on human tissue, that we do not need to use animal models anymore, which is a huge expense in this process. The current cost of bringing a drug to market is 12.5 to 13 years at a cost of $2.5 billion. My research has shown that over the next several years can come down to approximately 6 years and $700 million. Still very high, but a dramatic improvement. The social impact of this technology is massive. Let's also take a look at some of the other companies like Organovo, who have also done incredible things by creating a miniature kidney. Once again, this technology is designed to address a pain point within the large pharma and biotech communities, which is the heavy upfront costs of doing animal studies. One of the problems with animal studies, besides the cost, is that these are not really predictive of human interactions. These are animals, animal tissues, and drugs don't often correspond in terms of their predictive value when being tested on animal tissue. One of the new areas that's a spin-off in this 3D printing world is regenerative medicine. I can't even begin to tell you the possibilities here, but I will. So first, there's a company called CellLink. CellLink has a microscale continuous projection printing method that creates a complex CNS structure. What does this mean? It means that patients with spinal cord injury can get a 3D printed material implanted in their injured area. And there is a chance that neural networks and pathways will regrow at an accelerated rate. Currently, the rate of regrowth is about 1 to 2 millimeters a month. This will radically change the speed and also the health and construction of those neural networks will be infinitely stronger. It's also used in bone regrowth. So if you have a fracture, this material can be put into the fracture to help speed recovery. One of my most impressive companies that's focused on regenerative medicine, that has a real personal impact for women who are often an underserved community, is CollPlant. They have a singular 3D printing design designed for patients who have had mastectomies from breast cancer. This product will change the course of breast surgery. It is a product that is implanted in the chest and promotes real tissue growth, while at the same time, implanted product is disintegrating over time. There will no longer be a need for silicone implants, which need to be replaced and often have other medical complications. A cousin of 3D printing is organ on a chip, which accelerates drug discovery also by years. These are actual chips where organs are embedded into these chips and tested on various organ systems such as a lung chip, a colon chip, a brain chip, or a kidney chip. Emulate is one of those companies that's a spin-off of one of the schools that I work with in the Harvard Innovation Labs. And finally, let's take a look at the new king in town. That is CRISPR technology. FDA has given a green light for this gene therapy programs to address diseases that are incurable and often fatal. And the pricing of this is just under $3 million per patient. Now, this opens up tremendous incentives for large pharma and biotech, as well as big tech. One of the leaders in this is Bluebird Bio. They have multiple drugs, multiple shots on goal, and we can expect over the next 18 months quite a number of other drugs coming through the FDA process. Well, let's shift over to Microsoft. Microsoft is leveraging its AI, machine learning, and big data core competencies. They are focused on automated electronic healthcare records, treatment algorithms, diagnostics, and medical billing. They're also competing with Google in drug discovery in areas which we've just talked about, like precision medicine and 3D printing and regenerative medicine. And we're going to take a look at some of these interesting companies that they're focused in on. They also have a 10-year plus complex plan, which clearly involves acquisition, investment, and partnership. The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, has made it very clear. They believe that their Azure and AI platform is the basis of a game-changing transformation of healthcare. They are putting tremendous amount of money to work. Case in point, Nuance. Their second biggest acquisition at $19.6 billion is an AI voice recognition program that automates electronic healthcare records. What does this mean? It means that when you walk into the doctor's office, they're not sitting behind a computer, they're talking to you. Everything in the room is recorded, it's transcribed, it goes up to the cloud, AI machine learning integrates it. They put together a differential diagnosis, they put together a treatment algorithm plan. They even contact the pharmacy to make sure that drugs are available. This product is in 90% of US hospitals. They are globally based, and in the next 5 years, you can expect them to be the mainstay of all electronic healthcare systems in the world. Microsoft also recognizes the power of AI in pathology and precision medicine, and they're working with exciting companies like Path AI. Path AI looks at the error rates that traditional pathologists have. Human error is embedded in this field, and AI machine learning is looking to remove it. Focus is very simple: improve accuracy, improve outcomes. Microsoft is also looking to dominate the clinical IT solutions space, and they're working with CVS Health through personalized healthcare, and are looking to work with and have integrated Teladoc with Teams. Microsoft is also looking at diagnostics and therapeutics, and they're working with companies like Adaptive Biotechnologies, which is also their version of a COVID-19 diagnostic. They're looking at Envisagenics, which is a predictive model for cancer risk and disease progression, and 1910 Genetics, identifying novel small molecule therapies. Let's switch over to Amazon. Amazon is clearly focused in on digital health. They've made it very clear that primary care, telemedicine, healthcare services, healthcare insurance, and digital pharmacy are all in their crosshairs. What have they done? Well, they're combining AI and telemedicine and digital pharmacy. They're advancing access and new healthcare plan and treatment algorithms. And they're putting their money where their mouth is in an incredibly complex plan, including acquisitions, investments, and partnerships across several different cross sections within health and life sciences, and focused in on a $4 billion acquisition recently called One Medical. The purpose of this acquisition is plain. They want to own the primary healthcare domain. What does this mean? Virtual telemedicine services are going to combine with home and hybrid services, and Amazon wants to dominate that. They're looking at partnering with companies like 30 Madison, which is a local company here in New York. It's a digital healthcare company that provides telemedicine and digital pharmacy plans. They work in a very unique model, which is a consortium of specialty healthcare companies that they roll up into one company. They work with Picnic, Cove, and Facet, just 3 of the many companies, looking at specialty healthcare systems: allergy, migraine, and skincare in these 3 cases. This type of relationship is going to integrate into Amazon's e-pharmacy plans. And Amazon bought PillPack because they know that the pharmaceutical prescription market is $500 billion. And they are offering high levels of customer satisfaction with 24/7 customer support in convenient packages that improve one of the core things that we need in healthcare, which is patient compliance. These are some of the amazing companies that you want to keep your eye on in these various spaces of digital front door, clinical decision support, telehealth, and so on. You can expect to see more and more of these names, and certainly acquisitions are on the near-term horizon. Let's take a look at the impact. What is the impact of what is going on in this world of big tech acquiring at a greater speed, with a longer-term plan and a clear exit strategy? And that's the point that I want to highlight here, is exit strategy. As an investor, I look at risk. Risk involves operational risk, it involves regulatory risk, it involves financial risk, and one of the key risks is exit. And Big Pharma has made it very clear that they have an exit strategy as soon as they walk in the door. Pharma, medical devices are now buying, partnering, and licensing with big tech-backed healthcare companies like never before. They're looking at big tech essentially as the gourmet chef in the kitchen, and they're ordering left and right. Case in point, Roche has acquired Flatiron, which was a Google-invested company. Flatiron dominates AI and big data electronic healthcare records, specifically in the oncology space, to improve cancer treatment algorithms and cancer research for the advancement of personalized healthcare. Pharma is also partnering with AI pathology and diagnostic companies. Bristol Myers Squibb, Amgen, Sanofi, Johnson & Johnson are all looking at ways to integrate digital pathology-based AI diagnostics into their core focus, to the point where Sanofi has now developed an accelerator only focused on digital healthcare. There's also tremendous opportunity in licensing deals in early-stage AI medical devices, and Medtronic has taken a lead there in an exclusive arrangement with Cosmo, where they bring AI to endoscopy services, again, to improve outcomes. I can't stress this enough. These are incredible innovations. They're incredible scientific discoveries. As a physician, I couldn't be happier that this impacts the health and wellness of everyone. It improves the access to healthcare. It democratizes healthcare. It's just a game changer in terms of the cost and speed to market, but it's also changing the quality of the healthcare. And so I applaud Medtronic for having this exclusive relationship. I also applaud Boehringer Ingelheim for investing now 32 billion euros for investments in R&D and for new production technologies over the next 5 years, recognizing that many of the things that we just talked about are really harbingers of a long-term, multi-decade global growth cycle. Okay, what is the take-home message from this? This is all very well and good. It may be, interesting, but what does it actually mean? It means that our lives are going to be changed for the better. It means that our healthcare system is going to be improved. It means that we're going to have novel new things to look forward to. We're going to live longer. We're going to be healthier. We're going to be more productive. And we're going to look at diseases and conditions that normally we just didn't have the time or money to look at. For me, I am a bit of a dreamer, but I like to think I'm a practical one. I envision a healthier world. I envision a world where incredible technology meets incredible science and medicine and develops real strategic partnerships to solve real life problems. And for me, it's about the integration of groundbreaking science, medical discoveries, and innovation in healthcare. Not because innovation has a cool wow factor, but because innovation in healthcare is about improving the human condition. And I am all in every aspect, from a faculty member to a researcher to developing early stage companies as a director of entrepreneurship and innovation and strategic partnerships. I'm looking at every way possible to take advantage of this really once in a lifetime collaboration between partnerships that have not normally come to the same table. And I encourage everyone to take part. I want to thank everyone very much for the opportunity for me to be here to talk to you about some of my passions, some of my interests that cut across multiple sections of innovation, technology, medicine, science, and investing. And I've put on the screen here my contact information. I'm more than delighted to be able to speak to people who have questions now, of course, after this brief discussion, but as well offline, where there may be synergies between some of the things that you're doing and some of the things that Endeavor Fund is doing, and what we're doing with many of our strategic partnerships. So thank you very much for this time. I really want to thank our sponsor. Tremendous opportunity in a very informal and user-friendly setting. Tremendous opportunity to talk to you about what I consider the tip of the spear in a long-term play within healthcare and life sciences, which is going to improve everybody's healthcare. And now I'm just going to open it up to questions for people who have a lot of information to digest.
Dr. Martin, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. That I got the chills throughout like your presentation, just hearing about some what the things these companies are working on. Because while we wait for questions to come in, even though I'm not involved in the healthcare space, I do run a early stage startup accelerator program here. But I also sit on the board of this nonprofit, which is one of the rarest conditions ever known in the history of medicine, called Alström syndrome. Not sure if you're familiar with it. There's less than 1,000 cases ever in the history of medicine. So it's an extremely rare orphan disease. And that's where I learned about CRISPR, and I've just been fascinated with what CRISPR has done and is doing and will be doing. And I mean, what I learned through my journey as a board of directors for Alström Angels is that, you can't find a cure for Alström syndrome right now. All you can do is kind of reverse it and slow it down. But things like CRISPR could come in and be that alternative solution. So I can't remember what speaker said it yesterday, but I thought it was really fascinating how healthcare is one of those, industries that you can actually make a good impact and an income, and it's not just about having the fancy technology or being innovative or all these buzzwords. It's like you're actually changing humanity and moving it forward. So I think that's super impactful. So thank you for sharing all that. I don't see any questions coming in yet, but I think we already connected. I have a bajillion messages, so I need to catch up on them, but I definitely want to talk to you offline. I definitely see some synergy between some of the things that y'all are doing, or you're doing specifically, and how I can be of a resource of any way. So,
well, I greatly appreciate these words. It's all about teamwork, and it begins with a message and communication. And I look at this as a tremendous opportunity to, at the very least, put some thoughts into people's heads that they might not have heard about some of these things. I will say, on a personal note, I've just accepted a venture fellow position down in Texas, so we might be spending some lunches together.
Awesome. Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah. Next time you're in Dallas, let me know. So, it's really interesting because a lot of the technology that has been talked about through this summit has been, very AI, ML driven. And it's just, from an innovation standpoint, I was having a conversation with my grandma because she just got an iPhone. She's had a flip phone her whole life for the last 14 years. So she just went 50 years ahead, right, from an innovation standpoint. And I think about how far we've come in just the last 3 to 5 years from an innovation standpoint in healthcare. But yet we're still I feel like healthcare is so far behind all the other sectors, but healthcare's been around and it's not going to go anywhere. So what for you, what is the prediction that you have for, the different technologies in going into 2023?
Yeah. So great point. So, first of all, I just want to highlight the fact that there's no $1 trillion healthcare company.
Wow.
And Tim Oppler, who is a friend and a colleague, he just collaborated in a conference that I did through Endeavor and partnered with Harvard Business School and Capgemini here in New York, looking at healthcare innovation. Tim is a real thinker. He's a healthcare economist. He's an investor. He pointed out that the likelihood of $1 trillion healthcare company is almost a certainty over the next few years. And that goes to speak to the demand side of the equation. So I think that what we're going to be looking at in terms of all of these technologies are going to be rolled out. And yes, the next generation is already being baked. So Gen 2 products in AI, machine learning, endoscopy, colonoscopy, different types of diagnostics, different types of way to look at pathology. Certainly the whole area of robotics and surgery has changed the shape of surgery. And I think now that we're really looking at integration into an ecosystem where healthcare records are integrating with diagnostics, integrating with surgical procedures, integrating with wearable sensors. And there's a continuum of not just illness behavior as we're taught as physicians, but there's health and wellness. And so people should expect to live longer, happier, healthier. I'm extremely optimistic about the possibilities for the future. In terms of technology, I would put your spotlight on a new area which is called quantum computing. Quantum computing is not on the tip of everybody's tongue right now, but it's 151 million times faster than any supercomputer that we have. And with that in play, many of the things that we talked about in terms of advancing sensors and drug discovery and 3D printing is going to be off the charts exponentially faster and cheaper. So there's a lot to be hopeful for in the next 10 plus years. I do think it's an exciting time to take part, whether it's on the social side as a volunteer, whether it's on the investor side, or whether it's working in one of these companies. I work, for example, with Harvard alumni in tech. We just had a symposium. We're looking to do our next one, which is really about the possibilities for people with incredible tech backgrounds shifting from fintech and SaaS software into the healthcare space. So that shift is really, I think, hasn't even started yet. And when we see the shift of personnel coupled with new technologies like quantum computing, I mean, this is really just the beginning of a very long growth cycle.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is just unheard of, that type of speed, right? And like what people, like, you know, at least in my opinion, what I didn't understand, like with time, was that, like, for example, like someone that is working 100 hours versus someone that's working, you know, 40 hours, you're working 2.5 times faster, right? So when you're working at 150, you know, I don't know, I think that's what you said, 150 times faster,
151 million.
151 million. I don't even know, like, I can't even comprehend that number, right? And it's just like, imagine what we can do in, like, you know, people tend to just think in like yearly basis. And like you said, I mean, the next decade, I mean, everything could be so different than what it looks like today. And that's absolutely exciting. You know, that's definitely encouraging, as we just came through like one of the hardest things with COVID, and, you know, hopefully everyone's staying safe and healthy. But I feel like something like that could help detect something like COVID in the future and avoid a world global catastrophe.
Absolutely. You know, and what we try to do in the core thesis of Endeavor is to provide advisory services for companies that want to scale, grow, commercialize so that they can bring their products to, you know, patients quicker and also make themselves attractive acquisition targets for big tech. And we also work with large pharma, biotech, and big tech to identify those types of companies that are going to be key integrated companies into their own platforms. And then finally, you know, I'm a venture fellow in an accelerator down in Texas, accelerator up, you know, in McGill, where I have a faculty position. These companies will be the next unicorns, and it's our responsibility as healthcare professionals to help make sure that they don't die on the vine in a macroeconomic downturn. So there's really an ecosystem that's being built out with partnerships who contribute at various aspects. And that ecosystem looks at seed series A all the way through to very late stage companies in series D and beyond, so that we can bring these companies ultimately to the final point, which is the large company acquirer. And that transitions into a commercial product, which comes to change the healthcare system, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dr. Martin, we are at our a little bit over our time, but any last parting words before we let you go?
Just a big thank you to everyone, and, you know, especially the host and yourself. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us and all that amazing information. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to connecting with you.
It's absolutely my pleasure. And if you find this and your listeners interesting, there's going to be a symposium in 2 weeks on December 1st, where I'll be talking to a group of 11,000 people in Spain and Madrid in an AI and healthcare conference. So
wow, amazing.
Yeah,
definitely going to check that out. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you, and hope to, you know, talk soon again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.